Okay, since all three letters are related to each other, I'm going to be working on the variations on a separate document. My font is still saved to 100 point size, and I've already made outlines of these. We've seen this page already once before. But what's worth noting is that if we take the letter P and we superimpose it on top of the B, and I'm looking down here at the bottom of the bowl, and you can see that it's exactly the same curve. So that's good. We can get the bowl right away down here and bring that down here to the bottom, and they're going to both relate to each other. The top of the curve on the letter P is a little bit more rounded, and you can see that mine changed a little bit. But those are tweaks that we can make if we need to with distortions and proportional changes to the letter once we get to the refinement mode. But for now, that P looks pretty good. And what I need now is to start working on the B. So put that back. I'm going to select my letters here. And actually what I'll do is I'll just create a new layer. That way I can turn them off. And I'll grab my P and put that on the top layer. And these I can lock then as I need them. Okay, so I'm going to take this P, make a copy of it, and we know that the bottom works out fairly well for the letter B. So I'm going to go ahead and move this to the bottom over here. And I'll let this point snap right there. Now clearly there's a problem the way this is uniting in here, and that's just the nature of the beast. I'm going to have to resolve that. But for now, I've got plenty that I can work with. Okay, again, just so that I can keep my registration even, I'm going to do a Command K, and I'm going to change my steps in my pixels to 10 pixels. And that'll allow me to move what I'm working on completely out of the way and then move it back in. So it looks like I only wanted to get it to right about there. So I'm counting over here. So there's 10, 20, 30, 40. So 40 steps away, and I just want to clean this up down here on the bottom. So I want the corner to be here in this bowl. Right now the corner is here, and you can see if I grab this point and move it out of the way, you can see that there's no attachment there. And that's where I want this to be attached. So I'm going to click only on this point over here. I'm going to drag this up in here like that, let it snap. And then I'm going to go ahead and select both those points and call Command or Control J. So now they're all joined together. And now it's going to be a matter of figuring out the proportion as far as where this guy's going to go. So it'll be easier for me to select this point over here and do the same. I'm going to move this up over here. So essentially I've already got this, so all I really need to do is take this and move it with the Option and the Shift key down and get that to lock. And so I get those points to line up. And so there's the beginning of my letter B. So let's take this and put it over here. And again, I'm just using this as a reference for the proportions. So you can see that the bottom bowl is a little bit wider. So I'm going to proportionally stretch that out. And I think what I'll do is I'll lock the top one so that I don't select it, Command or Control 2. So now I can't select it. And now I can select the bottom one. And I can either try to do a scale, although I'm not really sure that that's going to work out very well. But I'll try just to show you what we're talking about. So we'll use the scale tool. I'm going to click on this bottom corner over here, and I'm going to hold the Shift key down so that it constrains. And that actually is turning out a little bit better than I thought it would. So I think I could live with that. The advantage of scaling it is that it keeps the curves fairly even, uh, as opposed to selecting the points that I think I want to move over. So if I were going to move the points, I would select the points like that, and then I would just slide them over. So I'm just going to use my points, and you can see how this starts to feel a lot like a diagonal. So I'm not really crazy about that. Let me move that back. I'm going to do a Command K again. I'm going to set my increments back to 1 point, and then I'll just kind of move it over. So a little bit doesn't look bad, but when I get a little further going there, it starts to look a little awkward. So actually that's not bad either. I think I can live with that one too. And I like the fact that this bowl is the original bowl that we had on the top. Okay, so let's go back and look at the background again. And now it's a matter of scaling this top bowl. I'm going to unlock it, Command, Option, or Control Alt 2. And now I'm going to scale this guy down a little bit. So I'll grab the scale tool. I'll scale from here. And I'm holding the shift key down so that I can strain up and down like that. And I do want to get to the top of the letter. In fact, what I'll do is I'll unlock this, and I'm going to scale from here, and I'll hold the shift key down and wait for it to, not snapping. Let's see, are those locked? No. I'm going to make those into guides. So I'll go to the View drop-down menu, slide down to Guide, and make that into a guide. And now I have something that I can lock to. Okay, so again, I'm going to grab this. I want that top point. Grab my scale tool. Click here and click on this point and drag it straight down. And then hold the shift key down so it can make sure it constrains. That's what the shift key is doing. Otherwise, I potentially can move it outside, but I think I'm all right because I clicked on the point anyway. But I'm just letting it snap to that point, and that takes care of my B. Let's hide the rest of them. Okay, so now we need to worry about the letter R, and the R uses very similar stroke that's going on the bottom of the B. And so I can take the whole thing here. I like using this tool. And I'll move this over to the other side. Hold the Option key down. And I'm just kind of eyeballing it so I get a sense of what's going on. And so what I need is a straight line connection coming down over here. And looks like I need to bring it in ever so slightly. It doesn't extend as far as the letter B does. So I might even be able to use the round on the P again. I think I'll leave it like this. Okay, so I'm going to select the bottom bowl, hold the Option key down. I've got the whole thing selected. I'm going to scale this. S brings my scale, and my point of scaling is going to be here. And I'm going to click on this point over here and just slide it in to the left a little bit. And I'm shooting for the center of this is what I want. So I'm just going to move it in there. And that looks pretty good. Actually, I could make it a little bit wider. Okay, so now I want to get rid of these bottom points over here. I want to hang on to these two over here. So I'm going to get rid of these bottom points over here. Let me zoom in here so you can see what I'm talking about. These 2 points I want to keep. This is what I'm going to use to go straight down. All these curved lines in here I'm just going to get rid of. And when I do that, of course this is still connected over here because that's the way I did the original bowl. So when I do that, the next thing I want to do is, whoops, let me lock that. I lock the background layer with either a Control or a Command 2. And I just want that one bottom point, and I want to drag it straight down. And I'm going to unlock my background now, Option Command 2. And this R I want to make into a guide so I can snap this to the top. So I'll go to my View drop-down menu, go down to Guides, and I'll do a Make Guides. Now I'll be able to select just on that point and drag it up. And just like that, Command 0. And there are my letters. And I want to select that. Okay, I want to make sure that they're all in the right place. I don't need the P because I already have that part of my other document. And the B's done. Now, this point in here connects over here, and I think I would rather have the points connect here than having them two different bowls. And it may not make a difference. So I'll leave it alone for now because I can always come back and edit this later. But I can see in here that this bottom bowl isn't lining up exactly. You can see that there's a little anomaly in terms of how those connect. So I'm going to, just to be a little bit fussier, I'm going to select along these lines, and it's selecting all the corner points. Oops, get the direct selection tool. And let me zoom in here so we can see what's being selected. Okay, direct selection tool, clicking and dragging straight down. And now I'm going to call the Command or Control Option J or Alt J. And I want to do vertical and get those to snap ever so finely. And now they're snapped cleanly. And you really have to be on top of it. It looks like there's still a little bit of an overlap. But for now, I'm not going to worry about it. I can come back and take care of that when I actually fine-tune the letter. So the letter B is done, and the letter R is done. I'll copy those. I'll go back to my larger document, and I'll paste them in here because this is where I'm moving all the letters anyway. And while I've got them selected, I'll go ahead and change the font. By default, I'm changing everything to 10. I plan on coming back and modifying it. So I'm going to do a change the font size, the stroke size I mean. So let's bring that up. And both of these guys are going to be 10 points. That way I can see them. And I'll turn on the bottom and move these to where they belong. So this one needs to be there. And let me zoom in here and I'll line it up a little bit better. So the R is done. I want to select the R underneath. I want to make that into a guide. So go to the View drop-down menu and make that into a guide. And now I can select these guys. I'm holding the Option key down to select the whole letter. And this is going to line up with the baseline. I'll move it more out of the way than I need to just so that I have a little room to negotiate how that's going to line up. Now I know that this is overshooting this by a lot, but I have a trick to mask this out so that I'm working at the bottom stroke. The other thing that I'm going to worry about here is going to be the relationship of the horizontal thickness to the vertical thickness. And the horizontal should be slightly thinner. So I'm going to use a calligraphy elliptical brush to accomplish that. And then through generating some masks, I'll be able to flush this out so it's a nice flat bottom and cap it out so that it doesn't go beyond the uppercase. And so we'll do that in another video. Okay, so let me go put the B where it belongs. So I'll select that, hold the Option key down, and I'm going to just do a Command X, make sure I'm on that top layer, and go to the B, and select the B while it's there. I'm going to make that into a guide, so View, go to Guides, and Make Guide, and paste my B. And again, I've got the direct selection tool. I like having that point tool because it allows me to click on directly on the point. And then again, I'm just eyeballing it. Same issue here. Uh, I'm not worried about the fact that these are extending, nor am I worried about the letter A extending. I've got a trick that'll clean that up relatively easily. So this is going to be the same type of technique with the letter D that I did with the letter B or the P, and clearly you can see that I pretty much have a letter D over here on the bottom. So it's just going to be the same method. The E, the F is going to be similar to how we did the I. The G, we'll do that with a circle. That'll be the next one that we do. And I think that might be the last character that we need to do before we start making some modifications. So in the next movie, we'll do the O and Q and anything that has a rounded shape like the letter C or the G. Those will be part of the same grouping.